Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Bradler.
I was going to start by saying go blue.
Welcome back to the podcast on a Monday night. We got a lot to talk about, but we don't have that much to talk about. It's kind of one of those weird things. Dude, Chris, you and I, we continue to go back and forth on this same, it's like deja vu. We're like in Groundhog's Day right now because we feel pretty much the exact same way today as we did through the first 3 or 4 games last year, right? It was like, this offense, I'm not really sure. Like, what, Cade, I don't know. And Michigan wins by 50.
Yeah.
And we're just kind of like in this same place again.
Well, but are we? We're not, though. We're not. We're not, though, because I think week 2 is going to change some things. I think, week 1 brought up a lot of those same feelings because, to your point, the first 4 weeks of the season, it felt like Michigan was beating everybody's ass, but we were walking away from the stadium thinking like, man, like you'd like to see more out of that offense. You'd like to see, more use of the weapons, like more, just, more efficiency. You'd like to see more of all of that. And there were obviously some issues that we'll get into on the offensive side of the ball, but overall, yeah, it had a very similar feeling where like I knew Michigan had won, but there was still like something left to be desired. But to be quite honest, a lot of that was eliminated when JJ came in the game, and the potential and the prospect of knowing that he's going to be the starter next week, I think takes a lot of that out of the equation, at least for me.
Yeah. And you see some people in there talking about Cade looking like he did last year, wasn't really feeling his comments after the game. You and I talked about that, man. That's your captain, your senior quarterback, and he's up there. I don't know.
It's one of my burning questions. Burning questions.
All right, so we won't get into it too much then because it will come up again. It's going to be at the center of discussion for another week again until JJ gets his first career start against Hawaii on Saturday under the lights. Obviously going to be a pretty special
in the rain, most likely. It's supposed to rain all day, I believe.
Well, that throws a little bit of a wrench into things, so we'll see, what is this? We got
at least it's not porn this time. I don't know. Would it be better if it was porn?
I'd rather have it be porn.
Yeah. How do you get that out? You can control that, right? You can
I got it out of there. It's going.
All right. Out of here.
Yeah. So obviously we've got a lot to talk about. The big win, 51-7.
Man, wait a minute. Hold up a second. We got to push pause. Is the energy down right now for a Monday show? I feel like the energy's down. Can I get a sledgehammer drop or something? Can I get something to spice it up a little bit?
He did go 3 for 3.
He did go 3 for 3, didn't he? I don't know. It's Monday. We just had college football. College football's back. Michigan football's back.
Are you saying my energy is down?
I just felt like our energy was down. I felt like we were a couple of dead bodies. I felt like both of us need to hit the reset button.
I'll be honest. I feel like I'm having to reserve myself a little bit because something's going on with my audio where when I speak, it's like blowing my eardrums out. So normally, I think I'm getting a little more volume.
Yeah.
And right now, I'm like, I just want to talk like this. So something's up. I'll power through. I'll power through. But actually, if anybody out there, if there's anything sounding weird with the audio or whatever we're doing, just let us know in the comments like you usually do. But something feels a little off for my headset over here. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I plugged something in weird or I don't know, whatever. We're going to get into all the segments that we've got. We've got TFG coming. We're going to revisit the predictions and the scores and the things we talked about. We got a little look at the Pro Football Focus grades, which is something kind of interesting up in there. And then we're going to close it out with burning questions. It's going to be a hell of a Monday show. I'm excited to get into it. So let's do exactly that. Chris, I couldn't remember if you said 63-7 or 63-10.
63-10 was what I felt like was going to happen.
Okay, so you said 63-10. I said 56-17. Obviously, we were both just a little bit off. The final score was 51-7. Both of us gave Colorado State a little too much credit. They only mustered one garbage touchdown at the end. It was against Will Johnson, though. Got a little bit burned. Made a nice little play on it at the end. Tried to shove the guy out of the back of the end zone. Dude made a really nice catch, actually got a foot down. So that was their one score. And I guess we thought they'd score just a little bit more. I had them at 56. You had them at 63. Probably hairs at that point because obviously the benches were emptied and there's a lot of guys in there. Something like 80-some guys played on Saturday. 84 guys that played.
Yeah, but I do think, Douglas Guesson from the Facebook page, he makes a good point that they did leave some meat on the bone in the red zone and had to settle for field goals when, you would have thought against a program or a team like Colorado State, not to trash Colorado State, but obviously Colorado State is not Michigan. And when the Wolverines get down in the red zone, you'd like to see them be a little more efficient down there. So I think, the 56 or 63 was certainly doable given the way the offense was moving the ball until they got to the red zone.
So, Chris, I want to point this out there. If those three field goals had been touchdowns, they'd have had 63.
There you go.
So, to that point, the meat on the bone, the longest field goal Jake Moody made was 34 yards, which means it was from the 17-yard line. That was the longest one. So you're talking about three times inside the 20, 15, 10-yard line. They couldn't get it done and get a touchdown. That's, that will be a sticking point for these coaches, no doubt, during this week is, look, guys, this is an inferior opponent. We get down in there. We got to punch it in for 6. There's no settling for field goals. Certainly can't do that against the good teams in the Big Ten, and that'll be something that they work on, no doubt about it. All right, so that was our score prediction. Chris, it turns out I was pretty damn smart. I'm just going to put that out there.
Yeah, you were. I'll give it to you.
Pretty damn smart.
Is this about Sac City? Sac City?
Number 1, Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards both will score a rushing touchdown. They did. We're going to get into that a little bit in my burning questions too, so I don't want to focus on the running game too much. But, I mean, you were down on the field for the first time, by the way. We revisited that on Saturday as soon as the game got over. And I feel like you kind of talked to me about it afterwards. We were working and we were driving around getting home or whatever, that the running game, Donovan Edwards, a little bit to be desired. I mean, if you said it felt like they were running hard, but nothing really popped.
Right. That's kind of how it felt from my vantage point. It just, they were obviously, I think I can't remember what the carry count was between Donovan and Blake, but I know they split it pretty evenly. I think it was
12.
25 carries between the two. And for guys that, look, it's week 1 and you got to work out some kinks, but those two guys, that tandem, I still expect to be one of the best, if not potentially the best tandem in the country. I just thought, we talked about Blake Corum heading into the game. I thought Blake Corum was going to have a monster outing. I thought either Blake or Donovan would pop off 1, 2, maybe 3 big plays that didn't really seem to happen. But I think give credit to Colorado State because, like I said, I was down there. I could see Donovan Edwards, running hard up close and personal, and it just didn't pop off. And you've got to give credit to the other side when that happens. But you'd like to see Michigan be able to capitalize on some of that stuff again. Getting down in the red zone, being able to utilize guys like Donovan Edwards and Corum. You got to turn those field goals into touchdowns.
I think Blake Corum had 2 19-yard runs, actually. So, I mean, those are good runs. Those are really good runs. I mean, anything over 20, actually, I think Michigan considers an explosive play. So right on the edge of that, I can't remember, Chris, if you said it was it 3.5, 2.5 or 3.5 runs of over 15 yards was one of your over-unders.
Yeah.
So somewhere in that ballpark for Blake Corum. I don't think either of them got there, but they were close. I think CJ Stokes, the true freshman, had a 13 or 14-yard run. Donovan had a couple nice runs. I think his were all pretty mediocre, but at the end of the day, they both got in the end zone. They were both over 5 yards a carry. They were good, but it wasn't quite as dominant as I thought. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Cade McNamara will throw less than 18 times. That was my number. He threw it 18 times. So there's a push on that one. Yeah. I think you called me dumb as hell on that one, if I'm not mistaken. You were thinking that it was going to be like a showcase and he's going to air it out. But
okay, can I say that based on what we've heard, I guess, that was maybe the intention early, but it didn't really translate that way. That maybe the intention early was to have Cade slinging around, and it just didn't seem like that was going to do the job. And so maybe they had to change course a little bit. But yeah, I mean, to me, that was where you said 18 attempts. And I'm thinking in my mind, there's no way you can go out when you're playing for your job and only throw the ball 18 times against a team like Colorado State. You've got to go out, sling it around the field and show that you are hands down the guy for the job. And there's no question. And unfortunately for Cade McNamara, that could not have been further from the truth on Saturday.
Yeah, looked off on his first 2 or 3. Never really connected on anything down the field. It was all pretty much, crossing patterns.
Now, I am going to give him credit. I had a vantage point from it. And by the way, listen, it's a good thing we didn't have this show on Sunday because I was running at my temperature was at about 1,000 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, which whatever's hotter, I was there. I was burning hot. If we were able to show you the video that we got, you'd be able to see some of the stuff that we're talking about. But,
alas,
at the end of the day, I do want to give credit for Cade. He hit an incredible pass over the middle to Eric All, who was crossing the opposite direction. It was a sidearm. It was a sling into I don't know if it was double coverage, triple coverage, beautiful ball. It was a net, it was a big gain. I can't remember what the total yardage was on it, but I thought to myself in that moment, and I said this to you, I'm like, man, I'm watching this video. That's an incredible play by Cade McNamara. And then I thought to myself again, but is it something that JJ can't do? And the answer was no, that's a play that JJ can make. And so I think that was one of the things that really stood out to me is even though he showcased a little bit, it wasn't anything that was a difference maker to me in terms of what you wouldn't expect from JJ.
Yeah. Yeah. I think was the play to Eric All when he kind of fingertipped it low and then broke out of a tackle.
Yes. Broke out of it. Yeah.
He was covered, and Cade put it in about the only spot where All could make a catch. He made an incredible catch, and then he ran for another 10 or 15. Yeah, it was a pretty nice play. But, yeah, I mean, the first one rolling out to the right, that's supposed to be a pretty easy throw for a quarterback. I guess Cornelius Johnson could have went down and got it, but it hit him in the, the mid-shin.
Okay, another play that I have on film, and it's a very clear vantage point. Cade gets the ball down, but I mean, even if Cornelius catches that ball, the corners, it's not a good throw, and the corner is bearing down on him, and he's going to take a lick. And so that play was dead in the water, whether Cornelius catches that or not.
Yeah. So, and then there was, one behind Cornelius. I know one way outside that he had to dive for. There was at least 3 or 4 that were pretty badly off target. Ronnie Bell did drop one that gobbled him up got him right here, and it just zipped through his hands. But all in all, 50% completion, 1 touchdown, and really the bulk of his yards came on the bubble screen. That was a 1-yard pass forward. Anybody who tells you anything is going to tell you that a bubble screen is an extension of the run game. It's just an outside run. Couple receivers blocking downfield. Roman Wilson faster than anybody on Colorado State's roster. Touchdown.
By far.
Not a whole lot done by Cade. I'm sorry. It's just the fact of the play. It's just how that play is designed. Cade was asked to do something that's pretty simple for a college quarterback. He did it really well. Threw it right out there. Good timing, good speed. Hit Roman Wilson right in the numbers, and he took it the rest of the way for a touchdown. So anyway, we'll get back to the Cade JJ stuff, I'm sure, as we get going here. Number 3, Michigan will have 0 turnovers. That happened. No turnovers for the Maize and Blue on Saturday.
And I think I called you dumb on that, didn't I?
I think you did. You did.
I mean, you would expect week 1, there's going to be just, a miscommunication here and there. Some mistakes would be made. And overall, I mean, both sides of the ball, Michigan played relatively clean. I mean, in terms of penalties, I don't even know how many penalties Michigan had on each side of the ball, but it didn't feel like that was an issue at all. Again, I've got it scheduled to where I'm going to rewatch the game tonight so I can just see it from a better vantage point and get a sense of, what it was really like. But I don't know. Were there a lot of penalties in that game? It felt like Michigan played overall pretty clean.
I'd have to look back, but no, it was a clean game. Cade McNamara actually talked about that in the post game, that it was just a kind of a clean game, but there were some first game feeling type of mistakes for the offense. But yeah, overall, pretty clean game. Both directions, really. Colorado State didn't commit a lot of penalties either. It's pretty good. Yeah. Pretty clean game in terms of penalties, and seeing the officials take a bunch of screen time because they didn't really have to do that.
I'm seeing Colin say 1 penalty for Michigan. So
yeah, there you go. I'm sure I knew somebody probably would have that.
And credit to the credit to the guys, credit to the coaching staff to come out week 1 and to be able to do that. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, absolutely. Number 4, this was probably the biggest development of the day. I said that Michigan would get 4+ sacks. They almost doubled it, man. They had 7 sacks by 9 different guys when you consider the half sack thing, where there's 2 guys getting to the quarterback at the same time.
So 7 individual plays, the quarterback was taken to the ground, 9 different guys getting their hands on the quarterback, including Mike Sainristil to start the sack party in the first quarter. Iabi Anoma on a big third down to force a punt. Braden McGregor finally showed up. Mozzie Smith gets his first career sack. A lot of really cool developments for the sack party that took place. 7 of them for the Wolverines on Saturday.
Rod Moore.
Yeah, Rod Moore was in the mix.
Chris Jenkins. Again, the vantage point from the sideline was it was very difficult to try to throw the ball or make anything happen. Those edge rushers and that defensive front, they were in the backfield all day long, and I think 7 sacks proves that.
Yep, no doubt. And then last but not least.
So before we move on to the next thing, so how do you make up for the loss of David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson? You do shit like that. Collectively, You guys just put together 7 sacks, and that's how you move forward. So, again, Colorado State, but if they can have that kind of group effort, I think they'll be just fine, and they got the guys to do it.
Yeah, and it's exactly what we heard from some of the players when we were on our trip up to Mackinac. We talked to a couple of them kind of off the record, candidly, and they were really excited. Not that Hutchinson and Ojabo were gone, but that some guys were going to get to do a lot of different things, blitzing from the secondary, blitzing from the linebackers, guys like Jalen Harrell dropping back into pass coverage and looking really comfortable doing it. He's an athletic guy. We've known that, and he did not look out of place at all when he was having to drop back into some zones. So there was a lot of different stuff going on defense. Jim Harbaugh today said that Jesse Minter's play calling and scheming and every communication was A++. I fully agree. I think he was on his game today. And man, dude, if Jim Harbaugh has caught lightning in a bottle for the second year in a row with a coordinator, I mean, last year it was even more so because Mike McDonald had never been a coordinator before. And you're like, well, let's see how this goes. Obviously, it went really well. Now he's back in the NFL doing the same job. And Jesse Minter coming from Vanderbilt, I mean, that's almost like not being a coordinator.
Another burning question.
Mr.
Jesse Minter.
Okay. So just a really good job by him and kind of led to those, 7, or I saw someone say Harbaugh said it was 8 sacks. Whatever the number was, it was a lot. And they looked very impressive. RG3 on the broadcast said, what about David Ojabo and Aiden Hutchinson? Michigan's got pass rushers out the wazoo. He also said there was an orgy in the end zone, if anybody missed that. He was really good, man. Chris, I've watched the first half back on replay, and I thoroughly enjoyed listening to Robert.
I saw on social media a lot of calls for RG3 to be doing more college football games.
Yeah, he was good, man.
I look forward to hearing it.
He was really good. And last but not least, obviously the final score of the game. I predicted that Michigan would cover the spread, and they did. It was 30.5. They won by 44, so obviously they put it on Colorado State pretty good. I mean, I think obviously we both thought they were going to cover it, but you never know. You never know until you get out there. 30 points is a big number, man, and they handled it pretty well.
And week one can be tricky sometimes. Week one can be tricky. I mean, you saw that with Michigan State. You saw that with Ohio State, granted, playing a completely different opponent. But, nothing's a given on week one when you're trying to figure things out against an opponent for the first time of the year.
There you go. So I don't know. Do you give me okay? How do you classify my Cade will throw less than 18 times? That's such a push. Got to be a push, right?
Yeah. I'd classify that as a push. I mean,
so 4 correct predictions and a push by the exact number that I said he would throw less than. So I'll take that, man. I'll take that. Maybe
you know what, Brandon? I would say all of that gambling you do, all of those, you're trying to work it out in your brain. It's starting to pay off a little bit.
Yeah, for your boy made a little bit of money on Saturday. I ain't going to talk about it too much, but a lot of big spreads got covered. Small bet turned into a big payday. You like those kind of afternoons. So anyway, if Clemson wins tonight, I'm cashing again. So no, dude, college football's back. I love it.
Isn't it great? I mean, honestly, is there anything better? Like just what you saw this weekend, is there anything better than college football? I just don't think there is. I mean, March Madness is obviously incredible and offers, magic of its own, but the entire season of college football and just how much rides on every single game. There's nothing like it, man. It's by far my favorite time of the year.
Well, Brady, it's funny that you bring that up. How about LSU and Florida State? It's everybody's favorite segment.
Woo!
It's TFG, and I'm going to go first. And how about that Brian Kelly? How about Brian Kelly and his family?
Is our music? Do we got our music going?
It's playing. Can't you hear it?
No, I can't hear it.
Yeah, you sound real quiet again, too. Something's up, dude. Something is up.
There we go. Okay, now we got it. I got a little bit.
You sound super quiet over on your side, dude. I don't know why.
Wow,
Something's going on.
All right, go back to your Brian Kelly impression. I was digging it. Let's hear it. Take 2.
Me and my family just so excited to be in Baton Rouge. By the way, this is hilarious. This is so freaking funny. Chris, I was talking to you about Brian Kelly, the happenings for LSU special teams, like 2 muff punts that were recovered by Florida State, the missed extra point that would have sent it into overtime, a really costly personal foul penalty at some point during the game. And I think there was one other thing, and I can't remember what it was. I think there were 5 things that like a special teams coach would be pissed off about at any point in the year, and all 5 of them happened in the one game last night. No, here's the funny thing, though. The only coach that came with Brian Kelly from Notre Dame, special teams coach.
Special teams guy. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Gotta love it. Brian Kelly's face matched his shirt almost all night. A nice bluish hue, if you will. Purple, indigo, a deep
nice
purple.
bluish hue.
He's fitting right in down there in Baton Rouge. And yeah, dude, you start losing some games down there, Chris. You said that to me on the phone earlier. Like, they don't play that. They don't play that.
You know what? You lose games, coaching for Notre Dame, and, you might get some people angry, but relatively you're safe. You start losing games down in Baton Rouge, and they're going to come looking for you. You're not going to last long, especially when you're losing to Florida State like that. So, yeah, Brian Kelly not off to a great start down there in Louisiana.
Yeah.
Is that how you say that? Is that how you'd put that out?
Taking over for.
All right, I guess I got to go to my TFG, right? And this is a first. This is a first because I've taken TFG, which is usually singular, and it's going to be plural in this case. It's these effing guys. And I'm sorry, but it goes to the Iowa Hawkeyes football team who defeated South Dakota State. They defeated South Dakota State at home by a score of 7-3. So you might be thinking, well, it's a shitty offensive. You get 1 touchdown, whatever, you win the game, you escape. No, the 7 points didn't come from a touchdown. The 7 points that Iowa scored came from 1 field goal and 2 safeties.
Unreal.
One field goal and 2 safeties, and you beat South Dakota State 7-3. I don't know what the temperature was in Iowa City for that game, but God bless the fans who sat in the stands the entire time and watched Iowa put up that kind of offensive performance. I don't know that I've ever seen or heard of anything like that.
That's what I said. Just a bunch of corn cobs out there just frying in the sun, dude. Just roasting.
What is that? What is that? 7 points?
Chris, with them being your TFG, like, I know it's 4 weeks away now, but
it changes nothing about how I feel. Wow. It changes absolutely. You know what? In fact, that plays into exactly how you would think it would play. That Iowa looks like shit. They don't have any offense. And then all of a sudden the Wolverines get into Kinnick, and it's like, where the hell has this Iowa team been all year? They're playing out of their minds. And so, yeah, this is pretty much on par from what I would expect for Iowa. It doesn't make me feel any better about that Week 5 matchup.
TFG, everyone loves it. Brian
phenomenal. Louisiana.
Maybe I'll just do the whole show in my Brian Kelly.
Dude, can we just do an entire show where we're on a rotating platform together, just booty clapping from like different angles? Can we just,
dude? The mother. Oh, I about dropped.
It's too. There's probably a lot of people out there that don't.
He was voguing. He was voguing.
He was
doing this.
Well, listen here. Now, I'm not gonna be too hard on Brian Kelly for old people type moves. I just found out. Look, I'll admit it. I've got an Android phone, and I just found out over the course of the last week that basically, if you have an Android phone and you send a message to somebody who's an Apple user, and it doesn't pop up a certain color on their phone, in other words, they know you're an Android user, they pretty much view you as a piece of shit. That's what I found out. Yeah, like you're old, you're a loser, you got to get with the program. So, yeah, I might be just a couple clicks away from voguing myself, to be quite honest.
I wish you would vogue with your Android on a cell phone clip on the outside of your belt, and maybe like a keychain with like 55 keys on it.
Look at all the Android hate in the comments.
This is what a text conversation should look like, Chris.
Nah. Okay.
Crispy
Well,
blue and gray.
I don't. It's a
Then
color thing.
Then when I gotta text Chris, I get this.
Steve, listen, Antoine. Thank you, Antoine. Yes, Apple is overrated. What is this? You got to have a special connection to do this. Oh, you got to have special earbuds to do this. Oh, you got to have a certain thing to do that. Screw Apple. I can go into the gas station and get every damn thing I need for my Android off the shelf for less than $20. Boom.
Spoken like a true Android user. Thank you. You just made everyone's point in the chat. I could go into a gas station and get
That's what I'm saying.
My phone.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we're over here sitting by the lake.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but the thing is, you're not, though. You're not sitting by the lake. We're sitting in the same place.
Oh, your boy was at the lake. You know your boy was at the lake. Meanwhile, our other boy was down here doing some of that.
Look at your boy. Dude, I got to be honest. We thought I might sweat during the day. And look, hey, hold on a second. I just got to say.
An Android.
That's a dick move, Cody. Look, mistakes were made.
Oh yeah, this is good. Everybody,
I don't know
ready.
if you guys can see.
It's faded a little bit.
Okay, it's faded
a little bit. He had the half moon because that's Chris's uniform right there. The hat backwards. That is a prime real estate right there for the sunshine beating down.
Yeah, you know, you guys don't know how dangerous it is out there for people like us. So mistakes were made. I didn't use any sunscreen. I was, sweating like shiny as hell. Hence the hat. That's why I wear it on the podcast and pretty much all the rest of the time. But yeah, man, down on the field, hot as hell. Really looking forward to a much cooler day next Saturday. Hope the rain doesn't wash everything out. But it was a hot one, man. It was a hot one.
Yeah. So anyway, Chris, I hope your phone manages to work for you whenever you need it. It's been good to you so far. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
A Droid has never failed me yet. Hasn't failed me yet.
That was pretty funny. Just what was that? We were talking with Emily over at Mediascapes, and she's an iPhone user, and we said, yeah, whenever if I put a new phone number in to text somebody and it stays green, I'm like, I'm not even messaging them, and she just was like, it's true.
It's incredible.
It's true.
It's incredible, man.
You had no idea.
It's very 1%er of you mentality. I don't know. I keep it real, dude. I'm from the streets. I rock Android. I don't even use a phone case. Half the time my shit's cracked.
Speaking of phone, no, I'm not going to put the phone case up there.
No, I do it. No, hey, should we do it? Should we veer off? Should we take a detour and put the phone case up and take? Well, no, actually. Well, there's a way to present it that I think it's fair. I'll ask you. I'll give it to the people. Is that a phone case that a grown-ass man should have? We'll take it to the people. We'll put a vote out there in the comment section right now. If you can see Brandon's phone case, you tell me. Right, is that a phone case a grown man should have?
Here's the deal.
Look at them. Here they come rolling in right now. WTF, hard.
Here's
No, pass.
Here's the deal.
Pass. Dude, I told him if he doesn't end up using it, we can give it to my 4-year-old daughter.
Here's the deal. I ordered a phone case on Amazon. They lost it. So I was trying to have one.
BU, Brandon.
Yeah. I ordered a phone case on Amazon. They lost it. So I didn't have one for the game, and I just got my phone last week, whatever. I wanted a case on it.
You make me feel like I'm living up.
Went to the store, went to buy it. There were 3 cases. I didn't really like any of them that much. There was this one, 3 cases that fit my phone. The iPhone 13 Pro Max. Chris, take notes. The iPhone 13 Pro Max.
This guy's giving me phone advice. Come on.
There were only 3 cases that fit my phone. I didn't really like any of them. One was $25, one was $20. This one was $4. So I bought it. I'm going to use it for about a week. I ordered another one on Amazon. It will be here on Monday. There it is. That's it. And then I will give this to one of my nieces who's about 14.
I was going to say, the people have clearly spoken.
It's fine. You know what, Antoine? I almost bought the pop socket that had glitter on it just to complete the whole ensemble. So until then, there you go. I'm a man. I'm almost 40. All right.
That is a father. That is a father rocking that.
I'm sweating right now trying to defend myself. I'm not gonna lie. All right. Next, we're going to talk about some of the grades from Pro Football Focus. And look, we did this last year too. I like Pro Football Focus for a lot of things. They keep snap counts. They do their grades, whether you think they're good at it or not. I mean, I could go both ways. I can see sometimes where I'm like, that probably was graded a certain way, and maybe they don't know. And we're going to get to an example from the game on Saturday in just a minute. Why? Maybe they don't have any idea what they're talking about, but they also track the direction of runs. They track the depth of throws, completions, incompletions.
Well, somebody doesn't know something. Can't we confidently say that at this point?
Right. Contested catches versus open catches, broken tackles, missed tackles. I mean, like some stuff, like it just is. Offensive lineman blocking grades appear to be one of the areas where there's a little bit of some discrepancy. We're going to get into that in a couple of minutes. All right. I put a 15 snap minimum on these grades for giving the top performers and bottom performers because young Mr. J.J. McCarthy was the highest scored player on the offense, but he only played 11 snaps. We're going to get into that as well. So the highest graded player on the field on the offensive side of the ball was who, Chris, who played at least 15 snaps? Where would you go with that thought?
My gut wants to say Junior Colson, but I think it might be Jalen.
Sorry.
Offensive player. Offensive player.
Offense.
Oh. Blake Corum. I have no idea.
Okay. It was Luke Schoonmaker.
That would have never guessed.
Graded out at an 86.9. He did a phenomenal job in the run blocking game, according to Pro Football Focus, and that doesn't surprise me based on what we've heard about him and how he's developed as a player there. But Luke Schoonmaker came in with the highest offensive score that played at least 15 snaps. Number 2 was Donovan Edwards as a 78.9. So those are your 2 top scoring offensive players in the game per Pro Football Focus. Now, the bottom of the barrel, this is where I found it very interesting. Actually, the worst scoring offensive player who played at least 15 snaps per Pro Football Focus was Trevor Keegan. Then today, during Jim Harbaugh's press conference, he said that Trevor Keegan was the highest graded offensive lineman on the team and said that he would have given him the game ball, that he was the best offensive lineman out on the field. When I first saw the score, I was like, that makes sense. He kicked out to left tackle. He's not a left tackle, but he's versatile enough. He's athletic enough. Put him out there. Maybe he was a little uncomfortable. Might have done something here, there, whatever. I don't think Michigan – I think there was only 1 sack in the game, so I don't think anybody was really like whiffing on pass pro. Maybe he wasn't doing exactly – I don't know. However, Pro Football Focus scores it. They had him the lowest out of all players with 15 snaps or more, and Jim Harbaugh said he was the best. I mean, like, where does your brain go when you hear that? I mean, should I stop looking at Pro Football Focus, or is this Jim Harbaugh just trying to pump up his guy who maybe didn't play that well, but he wants to give him some confidence that he did all right out there at left tackle? I'm trying to figure out what this might mean.
Yeah, I think it might be a little bit of both. I know that people are big into the Pro Football Focus and what they do and putting out the grades for certain players. And, there's a whole system that they use to grade that out. But then it is a little bit strange when you see that, one of your offensive linemen is graded the lowest, and then your head coach comes out and says, we're giving him the game ball, incredible job by Trevor Keegan. And so, I don't know what the discrepancy is there. Maybe there's a chance someday in the near future, we'll talk to one of the good folks from Pro Football Focus and get better insight into, how they're actually coming to these grades that they're putting out and some of the things that they're using that they can walk us through. Because it's interesting. How do you get to that?
Yeah, John, I totally agree. I'm not saying I don't expect him to trash a player. I don't really think coaches should do that at press conferences.
No, game ball.
But to say he was the best and give him the game ball when somebody who objectively is just grading his performance said he was one of the worst. I found that interesting. I'd like to hear. It's never going to happen. I would like to sit down with the guy who graded it from Pro Football Focus, sit down with Jim Harbaugh and Sharon Moore and say, all right, what the hell's going on here?
Settle it.
Settle it. I would just like to see kind of how that works. Yes, Dwayne, and I actually used those exact words. I said, I know Pro Football Focus is not the Bible, and I also know that Jim Harbaugh is known to compliment his guys maybe when it's not even completely warranted. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I just found that a little bit interesting that there was such a gap there. All right, on the defensive side of the ball, Chris, who do you think scored highest for the defensive players? I think you actually said both guys.
I would say Junior Colson or Jalen Harrell.
Jalen Harrell was number one, highest scoring player on the team with a 91.4. Dude, there's a fly down here again. How does this happen? I brought the zapper down here, and I don't remember where I set it down at.
Can we get that flight of the Bumblebee music while you track that thing?
Jalen Harrell, 91.4. Junior Colson, 84.2. And then somewhat surprisingly, Khalil Mullings was the lowest graded player on the defense. I thought he looked like he did pretty well at times. He was in on, I think, the very first tackle of the game. It looked like he was in position most of the time. Again, like, I'm not going through play-by-play and watching Mullings, to get these scores. But sometimes things stick out and sometimes they don't. And so, to me, he didn't really stick out as doing anything poorly. But that's where they had him. So, Jalen Harrell, 91.4, the highest grade of the entire game. Junior Colson was at an 84.2. I thought he was phenomenal. He led the team in tackles with 10. Rod Moore was great. DJ Turner was great. Mike Sainristil was great. The defense really showed up, and a lot of those guys had some pretty high marks in that one, unsurprisingly, because the defense. So when I finally got back and was talking to my dad, the first thing he said was, when did Michigan get so fast on defense? And I'm like, they look fast, man. They were flying around, and they were definitely fast. A lot faster than Colorado State. And I think that was pretty apparent, and certainly helped lead to a couple turnovers, a pick, scoop and score, and the big sack day. So anyway, there you go. Who did you pick as your player of the game? Was it Sainristil?
Mikey Sainristil. Yeah, man. I just, I put this out on a post on social media earlier, and you and I talked about it. Tony, it was great to meet you as well. Tony Petrosky, got to meet him down on the sideline briefly. Nice. He's been a follower for quite some time. So just another one of the cool things that was able to happen down there. Met a ton of people who I've interacted with before, but never was able to meet in person. That's besides the point. Getting back to defensive MVP. Yeah, man. Mike Sainristil, I said it earlier on social media. I thought the move to defense was a token move to appease a guy who basically got shuffled out of the wide receiver position. And I could not have been more wrong about that. I think Mike Sainristil, let's hear it. I thought, were you going to play some Sarah McLachlan there or something? I wasn't sure what was coming. I was just trying to but it looks like Mike Sainristil might be, one of the best overall football players on the team. And I think the fact that he was willing to put the team needs above his own, and he's excelling, it seems to be excelling in that position. That's something we're going to talk about a little bit later with burning questions. But I walked away from that really impressed, man. I think he got the first sack of the evening. He was all over the place. He was quick. He just looked like he belonged out there. And I think I'm excited to see what he does the rest of the year. I think we haven't seen the best from him yet.
The physicality really surprised me with him. I mean, this is a 5'10", 182-pound receiver, and he was Mike Sainristil?
Dog. He's a dog.
He was a dog. He looked like he'd been playing defensive back forever, and like he's got a future in the freaking NFL. Like, that's how good he looked out there. Fighting off blocks, making tackles. We know he's got ball skills. We know he can run and cover. He was a do-it-all kind of guy in high school, but it's a totally different animal when you get to college. Yeah. And he's been playing receiver for 3 years. It was really, really impressive, and Jim Harbaugh could not have been more complimentary of him and Mike Barrett. Jim Harbaugh went on and on and on about Mike Barrett and his future in the game of football because of, he's traditionally speaking, he's kind of a tweener, but he's perfect for today's football, where you've got to cover and you're like a nickel, you're like a linebacker, you're like a safety. And, he spoke about him more than any other player individually. And I thought that was pretty, I don't want to say surprising, but we picked our guy. We've heard about this, the scores on Football Focus, the stats, whatever. And it was Mike Barrett that Jim Harbaugh wanted to talk about maybe more than anybody else. Him and Mike Sainristil, those were the two guys that Jim Harbaugh really kind of, championed at the press conference today, and I think for good reason, especially with Sainristil. I'd have to maybe go back and watch Barrett a little more closely. He had 6 tackles. I mean, he was out there making plays, no doubt about it. But again, for Mike Sainristil, who's not a big guy, to switch sides of the ball like that and be a physical presence and make stops and get a sack. And it was impressive to watch, man. No doubt about it. So there you go. We are going to then, dude, burning questions is coming up. Are you ready? You got all
I am ready. I've got them ready to fire, man. Burning questions. My favorite segment, burning questions.
Quick word from the homie, Mr. Rich Schultz out at Mediascapes.
Hey, this is Rich from Mediascapes located in Burton. Let me fill you in a little bit about our business. We are a full-service sign and graphic company from banners, yard signs to vehicle wraps. When it comes to marketing your business, we also provide video and photography services as well as apparel and promotional items. If it's something that will make your business or organization stand out, we do it. And I guarantee we do it well. We are Mediascapes on Dorrit Highway, south of Bristol Road, just before Rock Bottom. Check out our work at Mediascapes.com. That's Mediascapes with a K.com.
So there you see it. Mediascapes with a K.com. There's your phone number. They're in Burton, Michigan. They build brands with a purpose. They are a big deal, dude. They're a big deal for us. That's for damn sure. They're helping us out in a major way. Rich is the man. I think a lot of you guys got to see him before the game started. He was in the RV with us. He was a little bit out of the frame, but he popped over a couple times and said what up, and he talked a couple times. And big Michigan fan, super nice dude. Everybody over there, top notch. Like we said, they do so much. Even if you're not sure they can help, just pop in and ask. And I'm willing to bet that Rich might be able to figure something out.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Rich has been awesome, and we're super excited to have him as part of the team.
With a K, baby.
I'm not going to hold back anymore. I don't know what's up with the audio. Everything sounds super quiet and muffled to me. So I hope this doesn't like blow everyone else's eardrums out because it's strange. Like my voice is super loud. The question or the music, the drops, your audio, Chris, all sounds quiet to me. I'm not sure why. But
man, it sounds all right.
Everybody out there, let us know if something's off, and we'll try to fix it. But burning questions, here we go. Do you want to go first, or would you like me to get us started?
I'll kick it off. And it's something that I brought up early in the show. We talked about it a little bit. The Michigan defense, obviously impressive. Held, Colorado State couldn't do anything. 8 sacks on the afternoon, I guess, according to Jim Harbaugh. Here's my question. How would you grade Jesse Minter's performance after week 1?
Well, Jim Harbaugh said it was an A++. When you basically pitch a shutout, I know I've been around football my whole life, man. Not at a high level like this, but even more so at a high level like this. They hate giving up that shutout. And I know Will Johnson's probably kicking himself today, and it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme, but they were that one play away from keeping a goose egg up there on the scoreboard. Jim Harbaugh mentioned that the headsets were clean, that communication was great, the calls were timely, they were never scrambling. Not once. Think about this. You see this almost every game from every team where there's a play or 2 or 3 here and there where the defense is kind of like, might be trying to switch from strong to weak, or you got guys running and they're not set. That didn't happen one time.
No.
And maybe that was, Colorado State not disguising much, or they're not doing a lot of motion stuff. I don't know what the occasion might be exactly, but they looked on top of it all day long. They never really got beat on any big plays. They never missed any assignments. Never had a broken play aside from wasn't really a broken play. Will Johnson just got beat. I mean, that's all it was. I'd give it like an A. I'd have to give it an A. I don't know where I could go to say that this wasn't done well. It's Colorado State. Michigan was supposed to win by a lot, and they did. And I think that means something. And like I said, they were a 34-yard fourth quarter bomb away from pitching a shutout in the first game of the year for Minter as a DC. I think it was an outstanding performance.
Yeah, and I think, you go back to the early part of the offseason and you lose a guy like Mike McDonald, who obviously helped Michigan achieve so much success, mainly against Ohio State. And you wonder what the defense looks like. You don't have Mike McDonald. You don't have some of those I think they lost 7 guys on the defensive side of the ball, 7 contributors. And to me, it was a reload situation. And it was everything we heard from Nikhai Hill-Green when we were there in Mackinac. And he said, look, this defense is fast. These guys fly around. The secondary, DJ Turner, Mike Samerstill, we're talking about creating turnovers and creating havoc. And it just looks like that defense, I get it was week 1, and I get that it was Colorado State, but they fly around. They don't really miss too many assignments. I think this is going to be, once again, one of the best defenses in the country. which makes me really, really, really excited about the potential of the offense next week, because if they can put this thing together on both sides, look out.
Yeah, Antoine, a couple really nice comments here, so I'll put this one up and refer back to your other one. Yeah, the quarterback for Colorado State did look confused. There were times where he looked like he tried to get out of there, and he really didn't need to yet, but it's because whatever he thought he was about to see, he didn't see. So maybe the coverage, the coverage dropped out, or the pressure from the outsides, pressure up the middle. He was rattled. And then to Antoine's other point, yeah, there were a lot of times where it was really hard to identify what Michigan was in. Was it an even front? Was it an odd front? Who's coming? They were doing the phantom blitz and then backing out of there. I saw Mike Sainristil a couple times at the last second would sprint back to a deep zone when he was right up by the line of scrimmage. I mean, they made it really tough on Colorado State all day long. And like I said, aside from the one late touchdown, they were damn near perfect. I mean, pretty close. Gave up a 3rd and 14 early. I think they had another long third down at one, but like pretty much flawless for a game one against the team that they really had a hard time preparing for. You've got a new coach, 50 new players. I mean, they talked about that on the broadcast a ton, all the transfers. This quarterback who had never played before, they were literally having to watch high school film on this kid because he didn't play last year as a true freshman. So there was a lot to get prepared for, and Michigan was very clearly prepared for whatever Colorado State was going to throw at them. So, yeah, I think that was a very, very good job by Jesse Minter in that defense. All right, Chris, it's the big matzo ball. Everybody's out there talking about it.
That's your big boy.
Was that Cade McNamara's last start?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it absolutely was, because JJ played better at fewer snaps in the second half, and I would expect more of the same against Hawaii. I think he's gonna, now the weather. If the weather is, rainy, it might change up a little bit. He's probably not going to go and sling the ball all over the field like he would have otherwise. But I already think it's clear. If you listen to the way Jim Harbaugh talked in the post-game press conference on Saturday, he said Cade played good. There were some things that happened there, some plays, yada, yada, yada. And then when he got to JJ, one of the first words he used was electric when he's out there. Mm-hmm. And it's just, everybody can see that the offense just moves a little bit differently with JJ on the football field. We put out a story about this earlier today. That 4.5 speed, if you're a defense, you have to account for that. And that is not a problem when Cade McNamara is on the field. When JJ's out there, if you're a defense, you got to make sure you're fundamentally sound and you account for him at all times. And Jim Harbaugh said as much. And so I think he knows what he's got in his quarterback there. And I think JJ's pretty much going to take this opportunity. And based on how long he's been working for it, I don't think he's going to give it back, man. I think that guy's ready. I think mentally he's there, physically he's there, and he's going to have a great performance.
I mean, in just 11 snaps, all he did was go 4 for 4 through the air for 30 yards, carry it 3 times for 50, and score a touchdown. I mean, on the day that was supposed to be Cade's big audition to go out there and prove, to show everybody, yes, that kid is talented, but I'm the man. Do you remember what I did last year? I'm the man. It wasn't even close to that kind of performance. It just wasn't, man. It just wasn't. 9 for 18 for a $136 and a touchdown. And again, 61 of it and the score came on a 1-yard bubble screen to Roman Wilson. So I don't know, man. I'm with you. I feel like we've already seen enough. To me, it doesn't even matter what JJ does against Hawaii.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I feel like the fact that you already had that week 1 performance out of Cade, which left a lot to be desired, unless JJ goes out and completely shits the bed against Hawaii, which I just can't see happening. If that doesn't happen, I just don't see how in week 3 you can say, okay, we've made our decision and we're going to roll with Cade for the year. Especially, there's some other things going on that we're going to get to in one of my questions, but I don't think it's just the play on the field. I think that there are some other signs here that was Cade's last game as starter at the University of Michigan.
Yep, I agree. All right, what you got? Number 2 from you.
Holy shit, it's my turn again already? All right, here we go. I was impressed with him, obviously, on Saturday. I singled him out when we did our post-game coverage. I said he was my defensive MVP. I'm curious, are you ready to say, Brandon Brown, that Mike Sainristil is the real deal on defense, or is the jury still out? Do you need to see more action from Mike Sainristil to think like, yeah, that guy's legit?
He's legit. I am ready to say that because I remember covering him as a recruit, thinking like, I'm not really sure where this guy plays. Like some of his interceptions and runbacks were the best plays on his highlight film in high school. And I know that's high school, and it's a completely different animal. And he hasn't been playing DB in 3 or 4 years. I understand that. But he's clearly got the ability. He's clearly got the IQ. He's clearly got the respect and the trust of his teammates being voted as a captain. And now, really the only question mark I had about him before was like, is he really going to mix it up? Like, a lot of guys who play DB their whole lives don't really like to tackle. I mean, that's kind of a knock on some DBs, and that was not the case at all with Mike Sainers. So the physical part of the game was there in spades. We know he can run. We know he's got the ball skills. He made plays in the spring game. He made plays out there Saturday against Colorado State. I mean, he's not going to be perfect. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets beat at some point this year, or he does something a little rusty. But They all do that. Every DB does that. So yeah, I think I've seen enough. As an experienced, versatile player who did it all in high school and clearly is loved by his teammates and puts in the work. I think he's the real deal, man. I think you can put him out there against any team in the country and feel good about what he's going to do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about that position is I don't think it's – and I played football a long time ago. I know that playing wide receiver is different than playing like a cornerback position or playing out in the secondary. It's a little bit different. And to be able to step in that position on that side of the ball and do it at that level, I think that's the thing that really impresses me. It's not like this is high school football where you're a two-way player. Mike Sainers still has been a wide receiver at the University of Michigan for 3 years and is making this transition. And in week 1 looked like one of the best defenders on the football field. And that doesn't happen by accident. And so I'm confident in saying he's the real deal. Obviously, you want to see more out of that as the season goes along. But based on what that little sample size provided, I think Mike Sainers still is legit on the defensive side of the ball. I'm excited for him.
I'm with you. All right, number 2 is a building question upon my first question. So the Cade, the JJ thing, the back and forth. Cade starts week 1. We all saw how he looked and how he sounded after that game. JJ's now going to start against Hawaii. We think it's now JJ's time. He's going to run with it and not look back. Do you think this will cause any kind of problem in the locker room? And I feel like this might have been what you were alluding to a little bit ago, like the chemistry. He's a team captain. Like, oh, he's going to go out there and do the coin toss and then ride Pine the whole game. Like, what does that do? Like, is this going to be like, oh my gosh, dude, this chunk of receivers loves Cade. This chunk loves JJ. It's never going to work. How do you see this playing out?
I think it will impact the locker room 0%. I think these guys have matured to a point as a program where they're rallying behind both guys. And when one guy gets the nod, I just think I think there's only going to be support from the team no matter what happens. The only issue, obviously if Cade loses his starting job, that's tough. There's no way around it. He said he's built up a callus for things like this, but losing your job at the University of Michigan is probably going to be a tough pill to swallow. As far as how the other guys take it, I think they're 100% in on the team, the success of the program. I think they have bought in. I think that's what the culture is all about. So I don't think this is going to cause any ripples within the locker room. In fact, I bet you there's a segment of that locker room that's real excited to see what this offense looks like with JJ behind center. And there's some excitement building within Schembechler that Saturday is going to be special.
You know what? It's funny that you say that, because if you go back and watch the touchdown run by JJ where he little shoulder wiggle and then erases the angle and score. I mean, like, dude, he just made it look so easy. And that was a DB that he shook and that he beat to the corner. The 4.5 speed that Jim Harbaugh talked about, when he got back together with all the teammates and they were all cheering for each other and hugging on each other, Ronnie Bell runs right up to JJ's face and goes like this and waves. I'm assuming that means, you just left that guy in the dust. Bye-bye to that defender. Maybe it means something else. I'm not one of these people that's going to start like he's waving bye-bye to Cade because he knows he does a good job. My point is that it was a very natural celebratory thing with all those guys, and they loved what the young QB was doing. It looked like it looked to all of us. It looked easy and obvious. That's what it looked like.
We don't know him. I wouldn't even say that we don't know him personally, but we have spent enough time around JJ McCarthy to where I can confidently say this. There isn't a single person on that team that doesn't appreciate him and like being around him. He's just that kind of guy. And if that's not the case in the locker room, I would be shocked. The way he interacts with the fans, the way he is with us, just the way he is in general. It just seems like he's that kind of guy that people buy into. And I don't see there being an issue.
I'm going to steal a line from Juwan Howard. I'm pretty sure it was Brandon Johns he used to say this about. I know Brandon Johns has moved on, but he used to say, if you don't like Brandon Johns, that's a you problem. I feel that's Cade. That's JJ. And I just slipped slip of the tongue. I think that's Cade too. Back to your point, I feel like the team likes both of these guys personally.
Right.
Like
well, that's the issue with this whole debate.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with like.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't, and it doesn't need
it's
to be.
Not, yeah, it's not an emotional deal. And you see, like, super fans on social media saying, oh, well, this is doing this to Cade and this is doing this to JJ. And this. It doesn't matter. These are not emotional decisions. It's pretty damn simple. If one guy is better than the other guy, you play that guy. The goal is to win and to play your best players. And so if you let emotions get in the way, you can't coach like that. And I can't, I know that there's some people that think they're not a big fan of the move that Jim Harbaugh is making the first 2 weeks. I said it week one, heading into week one, and I'll say it again. I'm giving that man kudos because I have routinely been pounding the table saying, try something. Just try it. Give it a shot. See what it looks like. Let him, don't just give him like a couple plays in a series. Give him some time to make things happen. And that's going to happen in a very big way on Saturday on the biggest stage under the lights. And that's what you want from a coach.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I'm excited for it. It's a little bit weird. There's no doubt about it. Look, traditionally does the head coach just make a tough decision and say, you're the guy? Yeah, that's fine. That's fair. You want to criticize that a little bit, but like Chris just said, I've been wanting to see JJ play, and that's what we're going to get. So I don't know how you can be bummed out about that. It's a little weird, it's a little unusual. Cade McNamara said as much. Yeah, it's pretty strange. I never really heard of it before, but it is what it is, man. Get 9 in there and see what it looks like. All
right. Well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go back. I'm going to switch the order of one of my questions based on what you just said because I want to get to it.
All right.
Cade McNamara in his post-game press conference, I don't want to read too much into it, but looked like a guy that wasn't happy, looked like a guy that maybe knew he didn't play his best football, and looked like a guy who was frustrated overall about the situation in general. And he said, to paraphrase, he wasn't aware of the quarterback situation. He wasn't aware that Jim Harbaugh was going to make this decision. He felt like it was unusual. He felt like he did enough to win the job and that he was just going to have to deal with whatever the coaches decide. So my question to you is, as Cade McNamara, as a captain of the Michigan football team, were his post-game comments fair or were they out of line?
That's not really for me to say. That's about it on that. No, I mean, that's how he looked, man. They just won by 50, and that's how he looked. He just kept saying pretty vague stuff, like it's not really my call, like I don't really know. But yeah, he did say some pretty specific things in terms of him not winning the job. There were some other questions that he kind of danced around.
But fair, or was he out of line given his position and status on that team?
It's not a great look. I would probably feel this. I know I would feel the same way. I'm absurdly competitive when it comes to anything. I can't stand losing, and these dudes are at a higher level than I've ever even dreamed about. So I'm sure it's eating him at his core, dude. I'm sure he hates the fact that, damn it, man, it looks like I just lost my job. I didn't play very good today. I know how talented JJ is. I see him practice every day right next to me. He's taller than me. He's faster than me. He can throw it farther and harder than I can, and he's younger than me. Like, he's got more going for me in just about every way that a quarterback should have things going for him. I don't know. How else do you want him to act? I mean, it's completely human and completely understandable, and I'm not going to judge the guy for it. But, yeah, when you're a captain, dude, it doesn't look very good. And he had pretty bad body language, and his answers were kind of like, well, it is what it is. I don't care. I mean, he didn't say I don't care, but that's kind of how it looked. And so I feel like I'm kind of answering both sides of the question here. I don't blame him at all. I'd probably do the same thing. But at the same time, you're a senior, you're a captain, you were the starter last year. It's not the best look, for yourself, for what happened on the field. Not his individual play, but you did win by 50, and then the rest of the team is seeing that. I know there were a couple times where Blake Corum's kind of like, it was almost like Blake Corum was trying to get him to like nod with him, like, bro, do a little bit. Like, you are killing me up here. Like, I don't know if he was really thinking that, but that's it. That's how everybody else saw it, I think.
Yeah. I just don't know how you look at it any other way. And I get the human element, and I think that that's fair. I think that Cade McNamara has had tremendous pressure on him for months. And then, you get this announcement. And if it did blindside him and he didn't see it coming, I could see how that would, because according to Cade, all through Big Ten camp and leading up to everything, he was playing the best football of his life and hitting everything. And so to get the message that, okay, well, you're going to get week 1, JJ is going to get week 2, I can see how you'd be pissed off about that. That makes sense. But I guess what I was disappointed in, and I know he was asked the question, and I appreciate that he answered it honestly. But when you are just coming off of a week 1 victory where you destroyed your opponent, I just don't see how you can go up as a captain and look that miserable representing the football program. I just, to me, it was a bad look for Cade McNamara as captain of the Michigan football program. And it also spoke to, I think he knows where this thing is headed. Yeah. And in some ways, I think most of the team knows where this thing is headed after that. And I think you could see a lot of that in the press conference. And so that goes back to, I do believe Cade McNamara started his last game for Michigan. And I think that showed in his press conference. I think he knew that as well.
Yeah, it certainly felt that way. It certainly felt that way. All right, Chris, this is where you and I are going to look like dicks. Are you prepared for that?
I'm always prepared to look like a dick.
All right, Chris. Well, I was going to make a bald joke, but I'm not going to do that.
You prick.
I'm not
baldest.
I'm not going to.
Haven't our people suffered enough? Haven't our people suffered enough?
I was going to say, just go upstairs real quick and put a turtleneck on, and we'll really.
I might do a show with a flesh-colored turtleneck.
I may do it. The Jerry Seinfeld episode where he's playing chess against himself. Come on, that's good stuff. That's gold. All right, here we go. Chris, we talked about this last year for 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks, whatever it was. We started talking about it again on the phone. We've seen a little bit of it pop up on the recruiting trail. It's not like we're making this up out of nowhere. And we actually asked ourselves a rhetorical question that I don't know if I feel like putting the time in to do the research. But Michigan's leading receiver on the day on Saturday against Colorado State had 2 catches. Cornelius Johnson had 2 catches. Colston Loveland had 2 catches. And I think there was one other person who had 2 grabs. I can't remember. I think there was 3 guys with 2 catches. But regardless, the leading receiver on Michigan's team had 2 grabs. That's it. There was this stat put out like 9 different receivers or 15 different guys or whatever the hell the number was caught a pass.
I think it was 15.
What's happening? You lost me?
I think it was 15.
Okay,
touchdowns.
15 different guys caught a pass.
Catches,
cool. Yeah. Not cool. It's not cool. Chris, when we were talking about this, you asked me, when do you think you just grabbed a random team, Ohio State. They've been an explosive offense for a long time. You could probably do it with Clemson. You could probably do it with Alabama. You could probably do it with Georgia. A lot of teams. When was the last time Ohio State's leading receiver in a game had just 2 catches? I might end up going back and looking through all of it. I don't know. We'll see. My question is, I say all that to ask you this. Is it a big deal, or do we just suck?
Well, a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I think naturally we suck in the sense that you and I just have a preferred style of play when it comes to the offense. We have a preferred way that we want to see an offense run. And I don't think that, at least as of now, Michigan, Michigan wants to do that, and we'll see if it looks different under JJ. But what I will say is, wait, what was the question?
Is it a big deal, or do we just, why are we making it a big deal?
No, well, it's not a big deal the first 4 weeks. It's a big deal late November, and it's a big deal in the Big Ten championship game, and it's a big deal in the college football playoff, assuming they get to the college football playoff. But we were beating that drum all year last year, and then Michigan just kept winning. Michigan beat Ohio State. Michigan won the Big Ten championship, and then Michigan went to the college football playoff and got railroaded. So, look, even though Michigan had a successful season last year, one of the most successful seasons in program history, from a personal standpoint, I had the most fun during a football season I've had in my entire life, being able to cover it and experience it and do all of that. That being said, it doesn't mean that there isn't room for improvement and that there's not things you can change to really get to a point where you're legitimately competing for national championships. And so, yeah, it all works. It's all fine if your leading receiver has 2 receptions in week 1, but you can't continue that trend week after week and then hope to just flip it on when you get down to Columbus, or you're down against Michigan State, or it's Penn State, or whoever. Like, this idea that it's just going to be there when you need it, I've never subscribed to that. I would love to see a Michigan offense just toss it around a little bit, show you can do it. And if nothing else, screw the fan base, prove it to yourselves. Prove it to yourselves that you can do it on Saturday, not just, in Glick Fieldhouse or when you're practicing. Prove that you can do it on Saturdays.
And like I said, the recruiting angle. I mean, you miss out on guys like CJ Carr and Dante Moore and all every top wide receiver target on.
Dude, what 5-star receiver wants to come and get 2 receptions at the University of Michigan?
I mean, Andrell Anthony in year 2, when he's supposed to take this big leap from freshman to sophomore year, he had 1 catch for 5 yards. I mean, dude, like, nobody wants that. Nobody playing receiver wants that. I don't know. Like I said, Colston Loveland, who was, played mop-up duty for the last 6 minutes of the game, ends up leading the team in catches because, Alan Bowman threw him a couple bones over the course of the final minutes. I mean, it just, it's tough, man. It's a tough sell. All right, your turn. Sorry, your turn.
All right, let's go to it. This is the question I skipped because we got into the McNamara post-game comments stuff. But I do want to ask, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. We both expected big, explosive things out of them week 1. It didn't really pan out that way. My question to you is, are you concerned by the lack of explosive plays out of those 2 guys out of week 1? Or is it just one of those things that happens?
That's my exact 4th question as well. Were you surprised by the performance of the running game? That's exactly how I worded it.
Let's hear it.
We'll combine these together, obviously. Then I wouldn't say I'm concerned. I am a little bit surprised that they didn't run it better. I mean, can you chalk some of that up to not having Ryan Hayes, and then you've got to move some guys around, and then Barnhart goes down, so now you've got Keegan out at left tackle and Gio El Hadi playing a bunch of snaps when he probably didn't think he was even going to see the field. I don't know. I mean, Olu's in there. He's supposed to be this big upgrade and this dominant center, and he was really good. Trente's supposed to be athletic, getting out and pulling and doing this, and he did some of that too. So, yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that, neither one of them hit 100 yards. Neither one of them had a run more than 20 yards. Concerned is way too strong of a word because I still think they're going to be really, really good this year, and Michigan's still going to run the ball a lot. But I was surprised. Yeah, Blake Corum, I think, finished with 73 yards, and Donovan Edwards with 64, somewhere in that ballpark on 13 and 12 carries, respectively. Both did score. JJ scored a rushing touchdown. Alex Orji got in the end zone late. So, like, they did all right on the ground. It wasn't as dominant as I thought, though. So, a little surprising. We'll see what it looks like on Saturday.
All right, I guess we'll go to my final question, right? Because we just combined our 2s. You want me to just throw it out?
I've got one more left, too.
You got one more?
First. Yeah.
Okay.
So either you can go and finish or I'll finish. It doesn't matter.
All right, let me throw it out to you. And I'm just going to ask you to kind of look into the future here. We've talked, obviously, a lot about what we think J.J. McCarthy might do on Saturday. Here's my question. Will Jim Harbaugh, during his Monday press conference or before that, name a starting quarterback? Will he stick to the plan, and name a starting quarterback after the week 2 contest? Can we expect that by Monday?
I think so, because I think everybody saw the same thing on Saturday, and that was JJ being electric and dynamic, and some of those words that Jim Harbaugh himself used. I mean, dude, you put the stats next to each other. Cade played 43 snaps, and JJ's impact on that game was so much stronger in 11 snaps. It wasn't even comparable. I mean, the far hash throw, I mean, I tweeted it when Cade can't make that throw in his wildest dreams. He just can't do it. And then you throw in the running ability of JJ, and not only the running ability of him, but what it does when he really carries out a real fake and a real read and then gives it to Donovan Edwards or Blake Corum, and he goes shooting out the backside, and the DN, the edge rusher, and the outside linebacker all go with him. Like, we saw a 13 or 15-yard run by C.J. Stokes right off the rip because that was a real read. When Cade does that action, it's not a read. It's just the design of the play, and it's 100% give. JJ's going to change all of that on Saturday, whether he throws it 40 times or does 25 zone reads and keeps 10 of them, it's going to be productive.
Well, and
undeniable.
And we talked about Michigan in the red zone and that being one of the low points in settling for field goals. If you've got J.J. McCarthy and Donovan Edwards or Blake Corum in the backfield, plus the wide receivers out there, and you're in the red zone, I feel like chances are pretty damn good you're going to find a way to put the ball in for a 6. And so in a lot of places where they stall out under Cade, I think JJ's ability to get out and create turns what would be field goals into touchdowns. And that's how you get from being a really, really good football team to now you're elite. Now you're putting touchdowns on the board every single time you have a chance and you can compete with the big guys. And that's what we all want to see.
All right, last but not least, my first 4 questions were all about the offense. So I threw a defensive question in there. It's kind of specific, but not really. It's going to kind of like wrap up the topic in general. We talked about Jesse Minder's job that he did. Harbaugh called it A++, the 7 sacks, obviously. What is a fair expectation for sack numbers, and I guess kind of the defense in general for Saturday? I mean, do you expect them to get 5 or more against a team like Hawaii when you saw what they did, or is that like,
I'll tell you what,
really tore it up on Saturday?
If you come to me on Friday and you set the over/under at sacks at 5.5, I'm probably going to take the over.
All right,
I'm probably going to take the over because I think they were just so damn fast. Like it looked fast down in the field. And I don't know, man, that vantage point, you could kind of see what the quarterback was seeing out there. And all it is guys in wing helmets just flying around in the backfield. It's chaos, man. And if they can keep that up, it's going to be difficult for any. I mean, dude, how is CJ Stroud going to deal with that? How is CJ Stroud going to deal with getting popped in the mouth right off the gate? We already know that he folds pretty easily. We found that out last year. So if this defense can keep this energy up and they can play that way all year, man, I'm excited.
Well, there we have.
I had to throw that CJ Stroud pop.
Yeah,
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
An hour and 11 minutes in, Burning Questions is over. People have started to watch Clemson, Georgia Tech, but man, oh man.
Lee Brannon, I did not get a chance to throw the pigskin. I got to tell you, man, it was so damn hot that if I would have went out there and started throwing the ball around, it could have got real ugly. It could have got real ugly. I would have had to take like a shower before the game.
Wanted to thank everybody, man, for the devoted listener viewership. I mean, the game is starting. I hear people trying to watch it, but you're still sticking around for us till the bitter end.
Yeah,
hour and 12 minutes in now at this point. We're going to throw on the outro music. We're going to get ready to turn it in tonight. Put this bad boy up on the website, YouTube, if you want to go back and watch us again. Podcast, if you want to listen to it on your way to work tomorrow. Everybody's getting back to the office. If you want to tell your buddy, listen to what this numbskull had to say about Android phones. Send it to your boy. Let him listen.
Shout out to Yobi Anoma. Shout out the transfer. Man. Got a big-time sack. I saw somebody bring it up in the comments. Shout out to him, too, man. He was a big part of that defense. He came on late, was a late addition, and made an impact week 1. So, phenomenal.
One of the more impressive sacks of the day. He came off the edge, beat the tackle.
It was angry.
Strong armed the running back right in the chops, and got big third down deep in their own territory, forced a punt. It was a big play, man. And I think I saw Doug Karsh up in the booth announced that was the first play Anoma was on the field. I think I didn't think that was
I'm trying to get some feedback on Doug Karsh in the booth. Yeah. I've seen some mixed reactions on Karsh in the booth. I'd like to hear the fans. I didn't get to hear his call of the game, but I'm interested to see what people think.
I like Doug a lot, but his voice is not for me when it comes to like announcers. Like it's just the sound of his voice I want sultry smooth pipe. I want sultry smooth pipes.
Telebank House.
That's what I want, dude. That's what I want. Brad Nessler.
Oh,
I want that's
a good one.
That's the kind of voice that I like to hear when I'm listening to a game.
Yeah, I hear you.
It just for the guy doing the play-by-play, he's got to sound like that. The color guy, he can be kind of whatever. That's
you're not a fan of the Musburger? I love the Musburger, man. Musburger takes me back to Under the Lights, first game Under the Lights. Robinson to Roundtree. I can't believe this.
Doug sounds like Marge Simpson.
Oh, shit. He went there.
I can hear it. I can hear it.
I can hear it. Look, Doug's a good guy, though.
Oh, yeah, I like Doug a lot. I've talked to Doug a handful of times. I wouldn't say I know him well at all, but he's a super nice guy and knows his stuff. Smart dude, but yeah, voice. I mean, dude, your voice that's the whole thing when you're doing that job. And if you're, it's like what I've said. Yeah, I see some people mentioning like Lee Corso and back when Lou Holtz was doing it, and Dick Vitale now at this point. Like
Gus Johnson,
the whole job is to talk well and sound good. And if you're not doing it, then you're not doing the job. It's just one of those things, man. Not trying to. Yeah, Gus Johnson's kind of. I mean, he's a classic. Some people think he's a little over the top. I
love
him.
Gus Johnson, but only when it's something good happening to you. When he's making one of those calls and it's something shitty that's happening to your team. That hurts. It hurts. But that's how you know he's good.
Anyway, there you have it, guys. Thanks so much for listening this whole time.
Absolutely,
hour and 15
man.
in. We'll be back on Wednesday night. Same spot.
Fan-led Wednesdays. Fan-led Wednesday, by the way.
Fan-led Wednesdays, yes. Get your questions ready. We'll roll them out. And then Saturday, again, 517 Berkeley. Shout out to Nate, Wolverine State Brewing Company. Shout out to Rich and Mediascapes. Hopefully we'll have some more sponsors we'll have to plug here in a couple days. That would be phenomenal. But those guys, man, really making it a cool experience for us this fall. And hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well. Come out and see us, 517 Berkeley. We'll be out there all freaking day on Saturday. It was a quick turnaround last week with the early kickoff. But 7 o'clock under the lights, come find us, man. We'll be out there. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you.